Spiderwebs everywhere. About a year ago, in a couple months, uh, was the last time that I posted a video on YouTube. And since then, a lot has been going on in my life. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of experiences that I've really had to battle through, that I've had to deal with, that I've had to go through. Um, I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to return to YouTube, but as I myself have been going through, I say, an emotional slump, a mental slump, a spiritual slump, a religious slump, all types of slumps, financial slump, any kind of slump you could add or call out. I've been pretty much going through it and realizing I've seen a few videos really that inspired me uh, recently, but just on the subject of the fact that our voices are so important, especially in this moment. And I kind of have this urge, this feeling within me, this desire to continue to make videos and post videos and content on YouTube because I feel as though if I don't, the the contribution that I have to share with my voice would be lost. The first thing that I want to just talk about today and talk about starting off with an aspect of the spiritualities of life and understanding the spiritualities of life. What I'll be talking about is practice, right? And practice, they say practice makes perfect. Practice is extremely important when it comes to everything in life because practice is the way through which we gain perfection. Practice is the way through which we gain experience, and experience is the way through which we gain perfection. So practice makes perfect is a legitimate phrase, is a legitimate thing to say. Everything is a practice. You have religious practice, you have spiritual practice, you have mental practice, physical practice. Your job is your practice, your career is your practice, your business is your practice, your study is your practice, your hobby is your practice, whatever it may be. It's all a practice for us to actually stay on top of things and get better with things. We have to continue to practice, right? And this, I believe that this is a spiritual law, is that the consistent practice of something, right, is what going to lead us to master that thing. An issue that I've seen with my generation growing up is that everything is so fast paced. You know, we have fast food, we have short term, what am I trying to say? Short form content, short form videos, things like this, where we're so fast paced that we're losing our attention spans. We're losing the understanding of growth and true gratification. So what does this mean? What is growth and what is true gratification? You know, I'm gonna hit the cliche talking points of, instant gratification and delayed gratification because this is the battle of the pleasures, right? It's like the phrase that the road to heaven feels like hell and the road to hell feels like heaven. You understand? So it's those things that are instantly pleasurable, those things that give that instant gratification, that instant pleasure, that instant feel good to the body and to the desires, and these things generally are not for our betterment, and it's not that these things don't have their place in our enjoyment of life. However, we what happens is when we lack moderation, uh, then we start to overindulge in the desires of this world. We have to be able to have moderation, right? If you enjoy drinking a lemonade, you know, you're not going to drink lemonade every single day, or every moment of the day. You start over drinking lemonade, it's going to start having some negative effects on your body. Same thing with coffee, alcohol, smoking, cigarettes or marijuana. These things, I don't know about harder stuff like, you know, the other drugs that I probably can't say on YouTube, but these things, when we don't have moderation for these instant gratification types of indulgences, then they can terminate to the detriment of our well-being, right? To the detriment of who we are, to the detriment of our lives, and can cause money, cause time, all of these things. It's so important to deny the flesh, and this is where we go back into practice. There's one thing to have spiritual understanding or spiritual knowledge of things, religious understanding and religious knowledge of things, but it's another thing to realize that these things have to be practiced. If I'm not practicing my religion, if I'm not practicing my spirituality, then in essence, I'm not doing anything. I may know it logically. However, without the practice, there's no perfection being done, right? There's no progress being made. The practice is what's important. You understand? So you could understand or know things spiritually, and this is what I have been going through this, that I understand the spirituality of things. I understand my religion. I understand who I am. I know these things, but I have stepped away from the practice. I've stepped away from the deen, as they call it. Some call it in Islam. I've stepped away from the practice, right? This is the importance of practice. Everything that we do or have a goal that we aspire towards has a practice attached to it, whether it be your business, whether it be your job, whether it be your family, whether it be whatever it may be, right? Whatever goal that you could aspire to, there's a practice, a journey connected to that goal, right? If I have a goal of hitting a certain amount of subscribers and followers or whatever on YouTube, then I have to now look at the journey. Okay, how do I acquire that? How do I attain that? How do I make the best, highest quality videos for myself? Right? I might not my high quality may be different than somebody else's high quality. High quality for me may be the quality of the substance that I'm giving. Right? It may not have to do with how my camera looks or anything like that. I just have to dedicate myself now to the practice and have hope and trust and faith that the goal is going to be reached. But when we focus on the goals and are sloppy with the practice, wishy-washy with the practice, not consistent, not constant with the practice, then the goal doesn't get reached, or we get upset that we haven't reached the goal in the period of time that we think we should have reached the goal. Rather than accepting and loving and enduring the journey and the practice, being a part of the practice, making the practice a part of you, we have fixated ourselves on the goal and have gotten upset with the fact that we have not reached the goal in the time that we believe that we should have reached this goal. When it doesn't work like that, the work is letting the toil become a pleasure, letting the work become a pleasure, continuing to stay on the practice and trusting that you're going to reach that one ultimate goal. Set yourself up with goals, with milestones, but understand that you have to dedicate yourself to the activity and to the practice and to the application of that which is promised to get you to that goal. If I'm in business and I'm doing life insurance and I say, okay, or any type of sales, you have activity for that. This is something that, I come through sales. I struggled a lot learning this, and even now I'm still working on perfecting this understanding to the best of my ability, actually arriving at this understanding fully. right? Which is understanding that the activity will bring you towards your goal, right? But we have to focus really our goals on the activity, right? When you're prospecting, you're trying to set up appointments, you're really not worried about the product in this moment. You're trying to set up appointments. Then when you sit down for the appointments, now you're trying to talk about that product. It's goal oriented. Then off of closing that deal, closing that product, then you get paid your compensation, your commission or whatever. And then now that goes towards your greater goal, which is maybe the salary that you envision yourself making in this sales position or with this business. If going back to YouTube, if I want to do YouTube, I have to lay out the activity I need in order to be successful on YouTube. I got to say, okay, at this time, I'm going to edit my videos. At this time, I'm going to record my videos. I'm going to record this many videos on these days. I'm going to edit this many videos on these days. And I'm going to post them on this day, right? And that creates, that's the activity. That's the practice. And the longer that you keep up that practice, the better that you get with it. You know, you got people that's been doing YouTube years on years on years. The thumbnails get better, the video quality gets better, the pacing in the video gets better, the way that they speak gets better, the way that they sound gets better, the substance in the video gets better. It continues to grow, those that are genuine in it, because they're growing in that practice. The more that you go to the gym, the more that you push weights and lift weights and run and do your cardio, you get stronger, you get better, you're ready for more because you're staying constant and consistent in your practice. When you get in touch with your religion and with your spirituality, you're praying every morning. You go and you pray, and every evening you pray, and every during lunchtime you pray, in the afternoon you pray. You know, if you practice salat, you're praying at the five times. That's your practice. And the more that you stay on top of those prayers, that whatever the prayers may be for you in your religion and your spiritual practice, then you stay on top of those prayers, then you continue to do that, and you stay constant, consistent in your practice, then you start to feel better. You start to feel more connected with God. You start to feel like your prayers are being answered. You start to feel like you're being heard. But if I'm not in that constant practice, if I'm not consistently living according to the laws and the commandments that my religion sets forth for me, then I'm going to always be wishy-washy. I'm going to always feel empty. I'm going to always feel alone, right? Because the reward for religious practice, the reward for spiritual practice is peace and happiness, right? When I obey and I conform to the religious and the spiritual laws, peace and happiness is my reward. And what I'm saying by the religious and the spiritual laws, I'm talking about those things that are of better character. Things like making better decisions, things like moderation, things like temperance, things like benevolence, right? Having just trying to do good for yourself and for others, right? These are spiritual practices, and in my personal belief, all practices are part of our spiritual evolution. Because truthfully, we're not this body of flesh. You know, I'm not this body of flesh that you see on this camera. I am a mind that's using this body of flesh in order to convey this message to you through these means. So every one of us is a mind that has a body of flesh in order to do something on this plane, on this earth. This is where sin and all of that comes in. What are you using your body for? Are you using it to usurp and 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 just continue to indulge in the pleasures of the world? Or are you using it to add to the world, to benefit the world and to benefit your community? The sin is in the wish and in the desire. If I'm continually trying to take from the world and give nothing back, I'm living a life of sin, because I'm taking in the desires. I'm overindulging in the lust, and I'm overindulging in the complaining, and I'm overindulging in the hatred, and I'm overindulging in the slander, and I'm overindulging in these things that are of lower vibrations, that are of lower energies, the violence and these things, right? So religious harmony says love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. This is religious harmony. That is a practice. It is a mental practice as well as a physical practice, right? The mental, off of the spiritual aspect of things, we create customs. We create physical practices, right? And this is where, you have certain prayers and the way that people pray, where people make salat, or when they, how they pray in the Catholic Church, or how the Hindus pray, or how the Buddhists pray, or however anybody prays. That right there is the combination of physical and mental practice, because spirituality and religion is a mental practice, and we do physical things to keep us in a constant reminder of that practice. So now the traditional Muslims, they go and you pray 5 times a day. That's a physical thing, right? That has a mental connection. It's a mental reminder. It's a physical practice. You're getting up and you're doing this thing, and while you're doing this thing, you're focused on your intentions. You're focused on your heart. You're focused on your mind. So you're physically moving your body. That's the practice. That's one part of the practice. And mentally moving your mind back in alignment with the Lord Allah Almighty. That's the mental practice. And you got a cat that's coming up trying to rub on my tripod. I don't know if they moved. If they moved. So this is practice. This is part of the spiritualities of life. I'm gonna make some more videos. I'm gonna make some more videos about the spiritualities of life, and how they work. I know I should probably clip this to my shirt, but I feel like it doesn't sound as good as when I hold it out. I don't know. So I'm gonna make more videos about the spiritualities of life, as well as my thoughts on certain things just in the world, political, etc. But I know that my voice deserves to be heard. And if you're watching this and you have felt the same thing, then know that your voice does deserve to be heard as well. And I encourage you to go out and make your mark on the world, because I'm going to contribute myself to spreading a good message for the world. So with that, see y'all next time. Peace.